Is Daniel RPK correct or wrong from time to time? Because that's his the jazz is what he's saying right now.
Yeah, but when did he make that tweet? Hey, everybody, when did he put that tweet out?
9 hours ago.
Okay, yeah. So the problem is it's been evolving, and I'll be part of the news. But my understanding is that it's playing tomorrow between 5 to 6 Pacific Standard Time, which would be 8 to 9 our time, and then midnight or 1 on the UK side. So that's maybe what he maybe just forgot to specify.
He's saying there are 5 separate trailers right now.
Well, yeah. So we'll see.
So
Hey, everybody.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Welcome to the Heroes World Sidekick Show with John, who's just Captain Giggles down below.
That was your latest update on the Spider-Man No Time to Home. What's it called now?
No Way Home.
Too Far From Home? Too Far From Home?
Spider-Man, the harder he falls.
Oh man, that's your latest update on the constant trailer watch, trailer sightings.
It's like CNN Trailer Watch 2021.
What's up, everybody? I see Fraser, I see Lewis. What up, Sarah?
Oh, here we go again with Romper Room.
Yeah, Romper Room. I was asking Rob last time, Stu, do you think they were just shouting out random names, or were they doing viewer write-ins or something like that?
I got nothing.
He doesn't even know. Whoa! He pulled a John Ho out of like 2020. Holy moly!
I got nothing.
Hey, John, can I ask you a question? Are you allowed within 500 feet of a playground with that mustache? Or?
No, I think they start banning you when you get to the handlebar point.
Oh, really? All right. Are you? Well, hey, listen, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for joining us. This is the Heroes World Sidekick Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Rob Gadet, and with me is John Ho. And we brought in a special guest today.
He has nowhere to go.
Oh, because he's no way home. With our special guest, Stu Pei from the Heroes World podcast.
Stu Pei's lightning with the blam blams. So we had to bring him on.
I'm ready to drop my cult favorite Western, and I'm curious to, when you want real clout about Westerns, you drop one movie and one movie only. And I'll be surprised if either of you can name that movie, because it is
okay.
One of the cult following Western movies of all time.
Is it a recent one? Is it a recent movie? Like within the last 10 years? Oh, okay.
No, not even close, my friend.
I thought it was going to
be my brother gave me this, like, he showed me the trailer, and I was like, I must watch this movie. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it does. We'll have to watch this movie.
We're going to find out from Stu what his favorite Western movie, I guess, is of all time.
Is it Posse with Mario Van Peebles?
No.
We are talking Westerns with The Harder They Fall, which is on Netflix. Hopefully you guys all got a chance to check it out on Netflix. But before we jump into all that, we got stuff what's going on in the store. Don't do that, Fraser. Don't egg him on by telling him that his porn stash looks good. So John, I want you to kick off what's happening in the store, man.
Yeah, all right. Thanks everybody for joining us as usual. So we are live every Monday at 8:15 at the moment. I don't know if that time's going to change anytime soon, but that is the Sidekick Show, and I've got some new stuff. So all the new comics and everything get posted on our Instagram and Facebook every Monday. Try to do it at 9 or 10 a.m. So if you check that out, we've got a whole bunch of new books posted there. But I figured I'd delve a little bit more into some of the hot toys because I showed off some of those last week, and you guys thought it was pretty cool. So I brought some other pictures of some pre-orders that are going up. So if you guys are interested in any of these items, definitely let me know. I won't mention exact pricing. I can give you an approximate price, but I won't mention exact pricing or exact drop dates. If you want that information, hit me up on the socials or whatever, and I can give you all that kind of information. So I did mention this Black Widow figure, the Yelena Bolovich or whatever you want to call her, Florence Pugh, or Pugh, or what do you call her?
Pugh. Zach Braff's girlfriend.
Pugh.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looks pretty good. I don't know what you guys think of this face sculpt. Does it look uncannily like her or creepily like her? Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I think the photo on our left, which is probably a lot more accurate than the one on the right. The one on the right seems very much rounder in her cheekbones than the other, but what the hell do I know?
Yeah. Once you get to these kind of 3D figures and stuff like that, sometimes it's by whatever angle you're looking at it. So sometimes it might not look exactly like the celebrity, but it's a pretty cool piece. These figures are around like $300 unless you start getting into the crazy Iron Man stuff. We did have some Star Wars stuff. Captain Vaughn. Not familiar with these characters, but they look hella cool. We just got a whole bunch of the 501st Clone Troopers in recently, and Clone Trooper Jesse. Not quite sure where this guy's from. Maybe Stu knows. The Star Wars expert. Rebels, maybe, or no? He looks like Captain Rex.
That's from the Star Wars version of Money and Made. It's Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
They are making. They're hitting all the
swingers.
They're hitting all the new kind of properties. So the Infinity Ultron from the What If series that we did cover in the regular podcast. It looks hella cool though. It looks hella cool. Yeah, we weren't super happy with the conclusion of that. Another company made this Homelander.
Whoa.
Can you guys tell it's made by not Hot Toys?
Yikes.
I think it looks all right. I mean, the big face sculpt looks a bit bizarre, but the other face sculpts look really good.
Yeah, so it's not bad. There's another company called Star Ace. It says it has a seamless body, which means you won't be able to see the joints. So that's always something that comes into question because sometimes they use these materials on characters like Gamora and stuff like that on the female characters, so that you don't see an elbow seam. But then these things kind of sometimes they degrade and start to crack apart and stuff like that. So that is a concern. I don't know how it's going to go with this figure, but it's interesting that they are making the boys high-end collectible figures. And then I'm going to quickly jump over to Iron Studios. They're doing a whole bunch of the Marvel Disney Plus TV series stuff. So we always talk about this stuff during the podcast and things like that. So they are going to make a Wanda and Vision. So these are 1/4 scale, I believe. So they got Vision here. They got Wanda. And then they jump down to 1/10 scale.
Where's the Darcy?
Hey man, I would love to see a Darcy statue of some kind or Hot Toys. That'd be kind of funny. And then they are doing John Walker from
they did him dirty. Soldier. He already has a complex, and then they're like, "We're gonna make your statue 1/10 scale."
Yeah, they usually do two. They usually do two lines. So the 1/4 scale is considered the premium. Those ones you're gonna pay around $1,500 and up. And then these 1/10 scale actually sit on a sweet spot of around $200 or so. So it's not bad. I did want to throw this one out there from PC Pop Culture Collectibles, Pop Culture Shock Collectibles. It's Ivan Drago, but I feel like it doesn't look like him at all. What do you guys think?
Oh no, he looks like Guile from Street Fighter.
Kind of.
Wow,
cheekbones are off.
It's like a comic. It's like a comic book version of him.
That's really surprising because their sculpts on a lot of their other statues, especially like their Conan statue, was on par. It makes me wonder if maybe they didn't have the likeness rights to Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, and he does come with a jacket that you can put on him. I don't remember if he wears that in the movie. I still want to check out this crazy director's cut that dropped that cuts out Rob's favorite. Yeah, Rob's favorite version of the movie, which is all the robot stuff, cuts all that out, apparently, and adds another 40 minutes elsewhere. I don't know. That sounds bonkers. I don't know, Stu, do you have any insider information on this Rocky director's cut? Are you interested in Stallone at, I don't know what age he is now, making a director's cut?
I'm not, but I'm going to watch it nonetheless.
Yeah.
I would totally watch it too. It'll drop on Crave.
I just want to know because... You know, they have a vision. Like, I love Ridley Scott's version of Kingdom from Heaven. I think it's one of the best movies. More time with Ed Norton just being awesome I'm all about that. But it can work both ways, where we get a longer Justice League miniseries, which sometimes could be good or bad. And we'll see what happens. Director's cuts can be hit or miss. There's a reason why they cut it down. But
it's a tight movie. It's like a 90-minute movie.
Why?
Listen, that director's cut is far better than the Joss Whedon cut. We don't even mention the Joss Whedon cut anymore.
Oh, he's been canceled a long time ago. We don't talk about him.
He just faded into the darkness.
Yeah. And I remember, you're right. Cody is from Clone Wars. He's an animated character in the comics, and then Jesse is part of that clone trooper, Commander Jesse. So it's a 3D cartoon they rendered to live action. And then the last statue I'll show off is one of the higher end stuff. So this is Prime 1 Studio stuff. This is Battle Angel Elita, the premium master line. So these statues will cost you maybe about $2,000 or so, but they're
really crazy. I've had the pleasure of opening several of them for customers, and they are crazy if you're looking to step up your collection and have a real big centerpiece. These are all things we can get. So if you are goofing around on the Sideshow website, hit me up and I can see what I can do for you. These things are not cheap, but they are hella crazy looking. So that's all I wanted to drop for new releases coming in. Not new releases, pre-orders that you can make through me, and all the new books, comics, and stuff like that are on the Instagram and the Facebook. And the brand new Magic set will come out this week as well, Crimson Vow. So let me kick it to Rob to talk about some news. And thanks, Stu, for joining us. I don't know if we thanked you for joining us, but yeah, thank you.
No, don't thank me yet. Let's see what happens till the end.
Hey, that Elita Battle Angel, I got to say, that movie wasn't that bad. If for those who hadn't seen it. I thought it was actually decent. I didn't mind it at all.
Some of the embargoed Cowboy Bebop reviews are coming up, and they're saying Cowboy Bebop and Battle Angel, I guess, are the truest to anime. We'll see.
We're going to do a review on that bad boy. Don't you worry.
I'm so excited.
We're doing a review on Bebop. Don't worry, on Friday or when it comes out. So don't you worry. It's going to happen.
Oh, boy.
I'm in more pain than you, so don't worry about it. As someone who loves the series,
I did see though that the original series is on Netflix.
It is.
They actually dropped the original.
We told you, Rob, you'll enjoy the crap out of it. The cartoon series, because it's everything you want. In it's every episode is different with a new type of sci-fi or western or comedy horror. There's no single thing about it that makes sense about it, and everything.
You had me at horror.
The horror episode's a tremendous episode. Like, it's incredible.
Horror.
Horror episode, it's so good. It's like Aliens. It does.
Different type of horror. No. All right. Hey, John and Stu. Not sure if you guys have seen the internet as of late, but there may be a big new trailer dropping tomorrow. But first,
are you talking about the Taylor Swift album?
Oh my God! The 10-minute Taylor song.
Can we talk about Jake Gyllenhaal? Like, we can talk about that.
Last Friday was Disney Day, and for our reactions, you can check out the Heroes World podcast that came out yesterday, where the three of us, the three amigos here, for those who watch the Three Amigos, we talked about it.
Chevy.
It's been a minute. Who's in
that? Chevy, by the way. Thank you,
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Steve. Oh my God! I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. No. No. Anyways,
Martin Short.
Thank you, Steve. Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Chevy Chase. Suffice to say, lots of stuff was announced.
Thanks, El Guapo.
Disney Plus Day. No real meat on them bones. You know what I'm saying? But here, I'm going to scratch it off this afternoon. Some news came out that made me kind of scratch my head, guys. We've talked a lot on this podcast about our love, or maybe my love, of Lethal Weapon movies. Last year, they announced Lethal Weapon 5 was being made. But unfortunately, director Richard Donner, the great Dick Donner, passed away in July. And we kind of wondered, is that the end of the Lethal Weapon franchise? Are they not going to go forward? Because that's the one constant through all four of those movies, where the writer, director, the stars are all together. Well, turns out, nope. In a new interview from yesterday, I think, out in London, where Mel Gibson was hanging out attending a play, he gave an interview and pretty much said that he had a conversation with Richard Donner sometime in the summer before he had passed, and who had said, and I'm paraphrasing, quote, "Kid, if I kick the bucket, you got to direct this movie." Gibson was like, "Yeah, no." But apparently the studio, the producers, and even Donner's widow, Lauren Schuler Donner, have all gone to him saying that was Dick's wish for you to direct this movie if something happens. So it looks like we are going ahead with Lethal Weapon 5, and it looks like Mel Gibson is stepping into the director's chair.
Is Gibson a director? Like, is he like?
What? Are you serious, John?
I want to punch you.
What's he doing for directing?
Stop the bit. Stop the bit.
Passion of the Christ?
Yep. And he won an Academy Award for directing.
Okay.
For Braveheart, bro.
Oh, Braveheart. He directed Braveheart himself?
Yeah.
I've never seen Braveheart, by the way.
And starred in Braveheart. What? You haven't seen Braveheart?
I haven't seen Braveheart, man. I worked at the video store and it was 2 tapes.
Yeah,
and I was like,
nah, too much
man.
for you, right?
It was too much.
Oh my goodness.
Now, grown up me now will probably appreciate it, but young me was like, no, man.
The crap out of Braveheart, man.
Wow, yeah. I'm so disappointed in you. All right, last week we talked about how Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie Rogue Squadron was delayed indefinitely. Well, news has started to leak out last night that the supposed delay is due to some quote-unquote creative differences with Lucasfilm brass, namely Kathleen Kennedy. Now, these quote-unquote creative differences are also to blame for the Solo movie being removed from Phil Lord and Chris Miller when they were 90% done and then handed to Ron Howard, who tanked the movie. As well, the Game of Thrones showrunners Benioff and Weiss were supposed to be piling in a whole new trilogy, but that's no longer happening because they left due to quote-unquote creative differences. And we can go as far back as Rian Johnson, who was Stu's favorite director of the new Star Wars trilogy. The Last Jedi. He was supposed to also create a whole new trilogy aside from the Skywalker stuff, and he is no longer doing that because of, once again, creative differences. So
these aren't the droids you're looking for.
That's right.
Now, news fair. If you name all the directors and the creative people that you just named, none of them have had any success since after they've all been dropped creatively. Like, none of them have had anything. All of them did it at their peak, and then all of a sudden, never mind. Maybe this is maybe mistakes were made, because even Wonder Woman 84, this is right before that, and now they're like, maybe we don't want to give this woman.
Well, it's funny you say that, because today news came out that Kathleen Kennedy has just re-upped her contract as president of Lucasfilm for 3 years, and supposedly to combat this creative difference story, another story came out saying that Kathleen was not a fan of Wonder Woman 84 and was like, you know what, I think we should just go our separate ways. So who knows? I don't know, but
Benioff and Weiss have made what since Game of Thrones, and
they've got that huge deal with Netflix, man. So who knows what's coming down the pipe from them?
If we go through the list of those people that have a huge deal with Netflix, how many of them are still at Netflix? Like, really,
Bridgerton.
Like, Shonda is the only person really doing stuff. Like, they all signed these massive deals, and a lot of those folks that did it have left those deals.
Yeah.
So it's very curious to see. Like you mentioned, like Rian Johnson, like, he did Knives Out. That was pretty much it. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I won't do sci-fi. I'll do something different. But none of them have really had massive hits since. They've all kind of dodged that bullet. Chloe Zhao is available. She could do a Star Wars movie. Just put her, just log her in.
It's funny that someone admitted that they didn't like Wonder Woman, because I feel like everyone, like Gal Gadot, what's her name, Patty Jenkins, they've all just like glossed over it. They're like, yeah, it was great. It just didn't do well in the box office. Yeah. No one.
It was pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with an interview in the Hollywood Reporter last week, my new favorite bestie, Henry Cavill, spoke about a lot of topics, including Witcher Season 2, which is out in just under a month on Netflix, his commitment to more Witcher seasons, and his excitement at Be It fan cast as the new James Bond, which I thought was an interesting choice. I would love to see him potentially step into that role. But he also touched back on the comics world and said he would love to come back and play Superman again, that there are so many more stories that he wants to tell, especially following the events of Man of Steel. He also talked about Marvel movies and the MCU and whether he would be open to jumping to the other side. And he commented that the only character he would like to play, if given the opportunity, is Captain Britain. So, John, Stu, more Superman or move over to Captain Britain? What say you?
We talked about this in the podcast. Move on to Captain Britain. Superman, it's over.
I couldn't remember if we talked about it after the podcast was over or not.
We talked about it. But, yeah, to your point, I think Superman, they're ready to do the Black Superman with the fact that who's going to play? I think it's Michael B. Jordan going to be the Black Superman. So
I don't know. Yeah, he's producing.
There's rumors. There's rumors as well.
Superman. So you might as well just move this aside. Henry Cavill can just go into the sunset, do something else, be Witcher, be Bond, do everything in the UK and just hang out.
And he's the new Highlander, so let's we'll see how that goes. There can be only one. All right, and finally tomorrow, for those who are listening and watching on the live stream, thanks for joining us. Tomorrow is going to be a huge day. It's the release of the full Spider-Man 2 trailer, which is what we were kind of rapping about when this live stream started. It's a massive fan event happening in LA and may or may not be live streamed. And the reason we don't know is because there's been a lot of changes in the last honestly 12 hours as to what's been going on with this trailer and this live event. There appears to be some cinemas in the US that are selling tickets to watch this trailer and stream the live event. I think Regal Cinemas is one, but then it got pulled down and got put up again, so we don't really know. There doesn't appear to be anything happening in Canada. However, some Canadian Twitter feeds are touting the release of the trailer that will be online tomorrow. There were some concerns that it wasn't going to be dropped online, but now it appears that it will, and it make its way online sometime between 8 to 9 tomorrow night, local hour Eastern Standard Time. It could be slightly later. It all depends on what happens with the live event in LA, where there's supposed to be big surprises and guests and reveals and so on and so forth. So all this to say is definitely keep yourself in tune with what's happening tomorrow. This thing is dropping. We may see a live stream of everything happening, but John, Stu, are you guys excited for this trailer? Is it overhyped? We haven't seen a trailer event like this since Infinity War, I think. Is this too much?
You would think the movie is coming out at this point. I think, yeah,
right.
I don't know.
It is coming out, John.
But you would think it's dropping tomorrow. Like, that's how excited people are getting. I'm like, it's just a trailer. We're all going to go see this regardless. So do we even need to see a trailer? I feel like they shouldn't have even showed us anything at all. They should just stop.
Gotta hype up ticket sales, man. You got to play the trailer and then be like, tickets on sale now.
Yeah.
Well, so I've seen some rumors that tickets won't go on sale to the 29th, which will be right after the U.S. Thanksgiving. They don't want to poach away from the Ghostbusters and Resident Evil movies that are coming out over the next 2 weeks. Supposedly, and according to some internet, I don't know, tabloid journalists, like Grace Randolph is one of them. She was saying that, Sony wasn't intending on putting this trailer online this week at all, but I guess it was a massive backlash in the last
I told you it's always going to be online.
People who were pissed at saying, why do people in LA, you have this small event, well, big event, but a small portion of the population, the rest of us get jacked. So I guess Sony has now reversed course, and that's why we don't know if this event is streaming online tomorrow. We have no idea. I think Sony are scrambling because call me stupid, but it sounds like they didn't anticipate the type of hype, but they've been building it. So release the Kraken, release the trailer. We will see. And I don't know. Hey, maybe we'll do a reaction tomorrow night. So definitely have your notification bells set on high red alert for the Heroes World podcast on YouTube. And with that, the news is done.
All right. Great, Rob. I knew you were going to be all about the Spider-Man hype.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
It is 100% Rob. I feel like not even watching it though. I feel like anything they show us now,
totally gonna watch it.
Is just giving things away.
So you know what? We'll do a live reaction, and you should just cover your eyes and just listen and see what.
I'll be like, what's happening? What's happening? And then
can we do a bit where John covers his mouth? Rob plugs his ears. And I do the mouth thing, so we can.
Well, that'd be a game, yeah. And then we have to put it together.
Bit, and we have to talk about the trailer of what we saw, and one of us can't say anything, and it would be a whole. That's the new gimmick for reaction of trailers. One of us has to just do it with our ears plugged in. It'd be great.
We call it hear no evil, see no evil, say no evil. Trailer reaction.
Yeah, see no trailer, hear no trailer, speak no trailer.
It's our new gimmick, baby. Let's go.
John, take it away, buddy.
So that wraps up the news. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We are here to talk about Netflix's latest treasure, I would say, The Harder They Fall. But if you haven't listened to the Heroes World podcast, we just dropped it on Sunday. We talked about Red Notice and our reactions to Disney Plus Day, which you've already gotten a hint of Rob's thoughts on that event.
Baby reaction. Wah, 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 wah. You know what John and me are hyped about? Sneakerella, baby. What?
Yeah. Sneakerella, yeah.
Losers. Excuse me. Losers.
I think Rob doesn't like urban culture, so that's why he's not a fan of it. So
he's not a sneakerhead, maybe. Yeah, you're not a sneakerhead, right, Rob?
He doesn't care about that.
You walking on your Doc Martens and your
no.
Birkenstock,
not all Caucasians wear those, guys. I'm all about
your
the Vans, all right? My Vans.
I made it one of two. Doc Martens was way back when we were growing up.
I did have a pair of Doc Martens.
Wearing Crocs. Let's continue.
I don't have any Crocs. I've never owned a pair of Crocs. Lewis is saying,
"Oh baby, he's male Uggs." That's what it is, male Uggs.
No, the Halo series. Yeah, there's a teaser drop with Pablo Schreiber from The Wire, from a whole bunch, a myriad. He was actually, I think he was Pornstache in Orange Is the New Black. I think that was his name. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. He is playing Master Chief. The teaser dropped today for a Paramount Plus network show. It comes out in 2022, and literally the teaser is his back covered in scars. He's bald. He puts on a helmet, and you hear Cortana say, "Ready to go, Chief?" And that's it. So we didn't really. But yes,
this thing's been in production, I think, since 2019, so it's been a hell of a long time. But yeah,
all right.
Halo multiplayer dropped for free if you're on any of the Xbox or Microsoft services. So definitely want to shut that out. I think Andre's playing right now. But anyways, without further ado, let's Harder They Fall.
Oh wow. Wow.
I got nothing. I don't got no cowboy hat.
It's the worst. No, I refuse to wear the hat. That's no.
I actually kind of feel like more like Indiana Jones at this point. All right.
Yeah, that's a teeny hat. It's a teeny hat for a big hat.
It was made for my daughter's hat. Thanks. All right. The Harder They Fall, starring Idris Elba, Regina King.
All right, let's see how many names you can butcher. 1, 2, 3. Let's keep on going.
Jonathan Majors. The Harder They Fall dropped on Netflix on October the 22nd. This is the first movie for director James Samuel, who is also a singer-songwriter with the stage name of The Bullets. Now, James has a famous musical brother. John, do you want to take a stab at who his brother is?
That is one very famous Kiss from a Rose singer, Seal.
What? Good. Well, first of all, you obviously did your research because there's no way you would have known that.
He looks exactly like him, but with dreads in his hair.
Right. Okay. But I would not have known that unless I did the research. I wouldn't have known off the top of my head. So this is his very first movie. I wouldn't have known. But good for you, John. Yay! Round of applause. Okay. Let me see. The movie is produced by Samuel as well as JC, distributed by Netflix with a reported budget of $90 million. 86% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a higher audience score of 93%. Now it's a revisionist history Western movie where while the plot is fictionalized, the characters are based on real cowboys, lawmen, and outlaws from 19th century Wild West. Now this is the second outing for the lawman Bass Reeves in the last 2 years. He was a focal point in HBO's Watchmen TV show from 2019. And is also apparently was the prototype for the Lone Ranger character.
Can you name the actor that plays him, or can you butcher his name?
In what show?
In this show, who plays Bass Reeves? Can you pronounce his name?
Delroy Lindo.
Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. You missed Regina King. You missed Elba. You got Jonathan Majors.
All right. Well, listen. While the movie is on Netflix, it does have a limited theatrical run and is still in some theaters, including the one that's close by Fraser, out in the Whitby area. So here we are. We are here to talk The Harder They Fall. Let us get on our horses and ride and chat.
Let's ride.
All right. Okay. All right. Sure.
All right.
So Pistols at Dawn, guys, depending on if you like this movie or not. So you can come at me. But Harder They Fall, let's start with overall just thoughts of the movie. Do you guys want to keep it spoiler free, or you guys want to go just unleash?
I don't think it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Let's just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
If you're in this, we already told people what to watch, so we're going full in.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll open it up because I'm not sure how these guys feel on it. But overall, I actually really enjoyed this movie. But I am very much into this type of music and things like that. So I really like the soundtrack for this. Like this, I don't know what you would call it, a cornucopia of artists and stars. You got multiple Jay-Z verses on here. You've got the legendary Lauryn Hill. You've got Seal. You've got CeeLo Green. You've got Kid Cudi. Like you can go on and on. The list is extensive. So I do shout out. Rob, are you familiar with these artists? We were going to ask you, like, did you recognize any of the voices?
Our game, John, but I'm going to let it slide. Completely ruined our game. Thanks, John. Thanks.
I told Stu that you must know Jay-Z.
Of course I do.
You know CeeLo Green.
Yes, I was a big
sure.
fan.
Niles Barkley, he knows Niles Barkley for sure.
Yeah, I was
right?
a big fan of.
Give him the answers.
I was a big fan of Lauryn Hill with the Fugees.
Yeah.
You know, they should have dropped a second album. They never did. It was a waste. I don't know what the hell they did.
This is how good your partner in crime is, Rob. He was not willing to throw you under the bus. So congratulate John.
No, I knew Rob.
Because before I could ask him any question, John basically gave all the answers away. Because I was ready to ask him a musical quiz. I'm like, can you name me anyone in the soundtrack? And John just says it all. And I was going to ask you about naming songs and artists, but John clearly doesn't want you to do that, so we'll carry on. The game is over.
Hey, John, let me ask you. So you're a fan of the movie because of the music, but what about the genre? Because you're not a Western guy, are you?
Yeah, I was going to propose this later. I don't know if you guys want to delve into it now, but yeah.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider myself a Western guy, but I quite enjoyed this. Western, yeah, but Western,
yeah. Can you name 3 other Westerns?
No, that's why. So I'm gonna. So this is the game that I was gonna play. I was gonna say, okay, I really like this. Okay, my all-time favorite show, Justified. Other things that I have liked, Westworld, Firefly. I do like Django Unchained from Tarantino. Does that mean I possibly like Westerns?
I'll give you a pass. I mean, I wouldn't consider. I mean, Firefly. I don't consider that.
No, but a lot of these things that I watch.
Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about like full
right?
on. I'm talking about period piece, 19th century, like Wild West westerns.
Yeah,
I'm talking like Unforgiven. You know, even Last of the Mohicans.
I've never seen it.
Like,
whoa, no, Last Mohicans, no good.
The
no fuego.
Well, I think it potentially could count.
How was that? No, that is
no.
Not
but I'm talking about like that time of.
We are talking specifically a Western.
I'm talking Young Guns 1 and 2. You know,
no,
I'm talking.
They're not even in the top 50 Westerns.
Was it Bonesaw, Tomahawk, Bonesaw, Tomahawk is a great Western. You know, True Grit, the original True Grit, and even the recent remastered.
New True Grit's better than old True Grit.
Well, I do agree. I do really like the new True Grit. And then the Spaghetti Western series, the Man with No Name trilogy, right? With Clint Eastwood.
So nonetheless, before we jump on this tangent, let's go through this.
Yeah.
I wanted to love this movie a lot. I love Westerns. My brother is a big Western super fan. We were talking about Deadwood, our love for Deadwood. I watch that series every few years because it's so damn good that it just brings me back. And if you like all those shows, John, Deadwood is the show for you because like this, it brings characters together that are like, you know, Calamity Jane and all these characters and put them into a Western sandbox. It just shakes it up and lets it go. And you have wonderful performances, but again, by a person from Justified, from, you know, a person that is, you know, John Wick, you know, just like actors upon actors doing wonderful things. Mm-hmm. What this movie does I told John, it's funny because I watched this movie and I was really into the soundtrack and I found myself, it took me away from the movie where at the end of the movie, I just went on Spotify and listened to the soundtrack. And the soundtrack's so good, it even has skits in between. It has like the old school 90s R&B, like when they used to do like skits in between songs. It's so perfect that I'll go back to the soundtrack more than I'll ever go back to this movie. Because I look back at the performances, they're fine. But everyone's doing basic, like they're doing performance, but no one is really doing anything different. They're just themselves with their regular accents. They're not doing anything different. It's a modernized Western. The dialogue is pretty much the same. Like it's as if you just put a guy there and it's like, this is Westworld. Just pretend to be in a Western. So, you know, and the story was okay. And everything about it was just fine. But nothing took me away where I'm going to go back and think about this movie in any shape or form. Like I immediately went to start watching the first 20. I was like, I'll watch the first 5 minutes of Django. And I ended up watching an hour and a half of Django Unchained after I watched the movie. I'm like, all right, this is the Western I want to watch. Like it's a movie where I just left going, okay, cool. Like it's just Alba being Idris
I think
Elba.
Django is kind of heavy though. Like, my argument is I like Django as well, but I feel like it's kind of heavy and this is more of And it does feature a lot of like the slavery themes and all that kind of stuff.
I just think the characters aren't really interesting, and I look back at all the characters.
I thought the opposite. I loved all the characters, but I will admit maybe the story isn't as strong as like a piece like Django. But yeah, I liked all their performances, but maybe
like,
I'm
there
really
isn't the duality of like as a Western where the main character has shame and questions about himself. Like he's still a good guy. He's robbing bad guys, but like part of the Western is someone doing something they don't want to do and really having ramifications and doing stuff about that. And the movie was fine. Jonathan Majors, the performances were good, but it wasn't a movie where I'm just like, oh, okay, like I got it, cool. So it was fine for me. Rob, tell me I'm wrong.
We're gonna try and convince. Well, I'm gonna try and convince Stu throughout the rest of this episode. But let's hear what Rob thought. It's hard. I have no clue.
You can't. I can name like Unforgiven is one of the greatest Westerns of all time, and that is truly a nuanced performance about a man and a main character who was in the game and he was pulled out. John, I guess he was pulled back in, and then that's a lot of that story is about why he has these come on hard times and he has to deal with these things. He was a trained killer and has to do something. But yes, Rob, go for it.
I feel like I kind of am on. I might just be in between both of you. I thought okay, it's very colorful. It's not your typical Western where there's a lot of yellow cues or it's dark, right? It's very. The buildings are very like I want to say bubblegum, but I just mean that in the terms of like everything pops, like it's visually popping. The buildings are all different colors. You don't see that in Westerns. They're usually just normal wood or dark. They're not usually painted pink and pastels. Like so, it's striking how like again bubblegummy it looks. I thought when the movie started, the visual style of it, you can tell the director took some stuff from Tarantino. He took some John Wick. He took a little bit of some of his favorite directors. Some of the stuff that it's very, you watch like, oh, it's stylized. It, I like the blood. I like, the shooting. I like to see that stuff. I don't, that type. I know it makes me sound like sadistic and crazy, but I like to see a good like Western.
You are sadistic and crazy.
But the problem with Westerns though is that they need to be dirty. Right? Like Westerns themselves are in dirt all the time. There's no paved roads. It's sand and dirt and muck. And this was kind of lacking a little bit of that dirt. Everything was really polished and refined. And I was like, okay, it's a stylistic choice. I'm cool with it. I'll be honest with you, though. I found that the music, while some of the times it enhanced the scene of what they were doing, and in particular, when they broke out Rufus Buck, right? And they all start taking down all the guys in the stagecoach, right? In the train car rather, and the music's playing and the bass is kicking. I'm like that accentuates the scene. But a lot of the times these musical interludes are thrown in there, and I felt it actually took away from the momentum of what I wanted to watch. I also gotta be on. Yeah, there was 2 times in this movie.
It was all composed. All this music is original for this movie.
And that's the thing. I agree with Rob, and we talked about too, John, before, is that the song choices were so, Rob mentioned, so close on to either fitting the scene perfectly or just taking you out of the movie where it was just there.
They're focusing on the music.
And I oftentimes found myself not paying attention to that, and like. As I was like, I'm like, on Shazam, I'm like, what's this song? Like, I just want to find more of this music rather than actually looking at the screen.
I also found so there were 2 moments where they went into like a show of some sort where there was a singer on, like a band on stage playing, and they did it twice in this movie, and it completely tanked the momentum of this movie. For me, to be very honest with you, I was like, it felt way out of place. That's the type of thing I would expect to see like in a 1920s flopper movie, do you know what I'm saying? Or in the 30s, like, even into like the, like the Untouchables type era with the 40s and Dillinger. Like I would expect to see that type of an underground scene where, you have a band playing and people are, jive swinging. In a Western, it felt like it just removed me a lot from it.
But it was cool. Usually those characters are designated to like whorehouses or like whorehouse, like running brothels and stuff. but these characters owned clubs, basically.
Yeah,
this is what they were.
Right. But I guess my problem with it, though, is that they weren't, and maybe this is by purpose, they weren't background musicians while you're watching a scene unfold in the foreground. You were now forced to watch 2.5 minutes of your actors walking around while you're focusing on this band playing, right? And it's kind of like, that's cool that you're showcasing, but 2 minutes of this one scene, it takes me out of the momentum of the movie.
There were a lot of Nolanisms in this film. You could tell where the actor was reading the script and it's like, I need a soliloquy. I need like a moment where I can do a dialogue spiel, and everyone had that scene. Regina King had that scene.
Everyone got a moment to be cool, I think.
That
to have a cool scene. Yeah.
Just like in Dark Knight Returns. It's like everyone has that thing. And like the Michael Caine speech. Like everyone has that speech. I get it. As an actor, you want to do it. But so much of that movie, I'm like, why does this person need to do this giant soliloquy about stuff? I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. Well, let's keep on going. So
yeah.
Yeah,
like Sarah's like, she disagrees. She loved all the music. Yeah. And let me just clarify. I'm not saying that the musical, like the songs were not good.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't think their placement throughout the movie accentuated the movie much, right? Like, I think you go to the well one too many times when you have lyrical music attached to a period piece. I think you make it pop, you make it hit when the scene warrants it, and then you have more orchestral music in the background or to, for a transition or whatever you're doing, right? So that's my only thing. I think the music was great. I enjoyed it, but to me, it felt like you were stuffing a big foot into a small shoe. It just didn't seem to fit for me.
I felt the music was very kind of consistently in the mood of whatever the scene is. Sometimes you watch other movies and they start throwing in all the basically the hit chart tracks, right? And they start slotting them in, like Pitbull's song randomly in Aquaman and things like that. They just come out of nowhere and they don't fit the scene. At least I felt all these music cues all fit what was going on in the screen, and some of them even lyrically, like the CeeLo Green song, fit the exact scene because it was written for a scene.
And I'm not disagreeing. The music is wrong.
But I agree with you guys. If the music for some reason maybe is not hitting you as hard, like this felt like just a great.
But maybe I think also this movie is difficult to kind of prescribe because most of the movies that I love that are Westerns are like from the 1970s, 1960s. So there's a slow pace to those Westerns where a lot of that, and Rob mentioned before, it's like the nuance of these scenes in the saloons and whatnot. That happens. There's a crack, everything goes silent. They go outside and you see two people's eyes and it's just silence and bushling and the rattling of like.
Yeah, it seemed like rather than go for science, they slotted in music. Yeah.
There's a thing that happens in Westerns and that it's like the trope of like, every superhero has that landing. All Westerns has that scene in the middle of the street where they're quiet and trying to bring the guns. And in this one, it didn't, like, even when they're going to do it, it's like, things like, I'm going to break the rules. And you're like, what that, like the most Western moment you can have, you just take it away. So there was just moments where I'm like, where you're doing the 6 draw. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I get it. It's just, I don't know. It's just the pace of the movie is different, but I get it. The music reflects the pace speed. Modern audience doesn't want to see a slow ass movie like I do. I love like the Blade Runner 19, the Blade Runner 2 style slow build up movies, but that's also a begone movie. No one wants to watch this anymore. So.
You know what? I will say the one thing is I wanted to see more of is like we got this promise of this wicked gun battle between Cherokee Bill and some of the other characters. I really wanted to see that. Like I would have preferred that they.
But that's the lesson for the whole movie. They're like, yo, the bling bling or the shiny shit's gonna get you shot, and you 100% saw that coming. So let's kick it off into some fun stuff I had, and then we'll keep discussing it. But since you already mentioned that, I'll talk a little bit about whose death hurt you the most. So I know typical Westerns, most of the characters aren't going to survive. And we've already talked about that one character, Jim. I forgot what his last name is, but
Jim
but he was
something or other.
Yeah, he was a young kid who was like, he wants to have a
Beckwith, I think, or something.
Jim Beckwith. Yeah, played by RJ Seiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had definitely his scene where he just gets shot in the face.
He's doing
all this.
Face. Yeah.
He's got the bullet with the guy's name on it and everything like that. That broke my heart and I knew it was coming. 100% saw that coming. Yeah. Another nomination I had. Stu was talking about him at the top of the show. What was that other character's name?
Bill Pickett.
Oh yeah, Bill Pickett. That was the tough one.
Such harsh. It was such like the moment that happened, I knew. Because I'm like, oh, this happened in Firefly. This happens in Saving Private Ryan. Anytime someone's like, oh, the helmet saved me, and then boom, I'm like, oh, he's dead for sure.
Yeah, he takes out his silver dollar.
Yeah, his lucky coin that he's had since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he's good.
Yeah, and you know, like the fact that he's a real character who actually didn't die and lived to be like an old man who had 9 kids and was nicknamed the Dusty Demon, who was like also doing radio shows and whatnot. I'm like, man, you did him dirty. Like, you just kill him like that. It's stupid. Whatever. Continue.
Yeah. And then my third nomination was going to be Karaoke Bill. Lakeith Stanfield. Karaoke, not karaoke. Cherokee Bill. Just because he was such a cool character, you didn't think he was actually going to go out. Maybe he was going to survive till the end. Did any of those deaths hit you the hardest, or did you think one of the other deaths was
Bill Pickett was the one where I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like that was the one where I'm like, is that really necessary? Like, it was just so dumb. The whole thing was like, yeah, it was that was the one where I was just going, really, like, this is unnecessary. This is dirty pool, man. So I did want to, before jump quickly, Lewis asked about whether if I could choose between Red Notice or The Harder They Fall, between which one's better. That is a great question, and I'll ask the panelists here: which was a better movie? Would you recommend Red Notice or The Harder They Fall?
let's pin that until the end of the show.
Because yeah, all right, we'll
pin it to the end of the show.
I have thoughts. I have lots of thoughts.
So, John, let me ask you, John, because you're not a Western guy, after seeing this, do you think then you would check out other Western type movies like a 3:10 to Yuma, or
I for sure like you guys have already stated, this is not your traditional Western. It's kind of done like this modern thing, and this new director has emulated a lot of, like you guys have already talked about, Tarantino and all these other directors, but which is fine because he's a brand new director, and what do? You copy other things until you find your own style or pay tribute to all these things. Like I actually really like the dialogue in this, like all the dialogue. So I don't know if you guys would recommend something that might have something along these lines. Maybe it's not historically accurate the way these people talk.
The movie that matches up is the great Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. 1969, Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Just the chemistry, just the camaraderie of these two guys. It is in your wheelhouse. I think that's the one to watch. I think the movies that I love, the Westerns, like the True Grits, the Unforgiven, is like the dark, sad Westerns that I don't think you'll be interested in.
Yeah, I think you'll find Unforgiven way too slow, and you would not like it.
I love the crap out of Unforgiven, but it's really hard. Sarah mentioned The Quick and the Dead. Like, that's like a funny, goofy, like over-the-top action Western. But
you know what? You might like that, though. Sam Raimi directed it. You might actually enjoy that one.
With Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
and
Sharon Stone
and Russell Crowe. And that basically, like, Gene Hackman does like a big competition in the town, and for the gun, and then they have the competition. So it's actually a fun movie to watch. But is it a true Western? No, it's like a gimmicky 1990s Western where they do it's basically like, imagine The Quest. And basically, they bring these people and have a gun-off competition.
Jean-Claude Van Damme's The Quest?
Yeah, the Van Damme's The Quest, like Bloodsport, where they go to the town. People will basically do a gunfight to the death, and the winner goes on, and then the winner at the end gets money. It's kind of the way that this bit is set up. So, Sharon Stone's there to avenge her fallen husband. Russell Crowe is a prisoner who's there, is a gun shooter. DiCaprio's called the Kid, and he's just like doing good Leo stuff back then. And Gene Hackman plays the sheriff of the town, and there's a lot of different characters that do the gun.
All right, so the Quick and the Dead is probably next on my docket.
Yeah, that's probably the most like. actiony like movie like that fits your thing. But I would say the classic fun stuff is Push Cassidy, Sundance Kid. That's probably where you want to go.
But you know what though? In all fairness, John would probably enjoy the most recent Magnificent Seven movie, like by
Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
and only because I think it's such a modern. Like that's why
you might as well just go back to the other Magnificent Seven.
I think I would like the modern Western. The way, sorry, they're like dead quiet right before the show starts, and then all of a sudden pop up, and they're gonna like be chickens and do whatever. Tombstone. Yeah.
No, Tombstone's a great movie for what it like. You watch that primarily for Val Kilmer. That's the reality, right? As Doc Holliday, but it's good. I enjoy Tombstone quite a bit. That is one of my easy go-to westerns that you can throw in. You need 90 minutes, an hour and 45 to throw in. You put on Tombstone, and you literally can't go wrong with it. It gives you everything you want and you need, and it does have that yellow hue, the dirt, the grime, the messiness.
Right? and if you want another art house film, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
That's got Brad Pitt in it. So
it's a very long ass movie, and
that was my original
problem. I couldn't watch it.
Movie.
It's plotting.
It is long. One more thing. The cult movie, as I said before. The cult movie, all movies. If anyone asked you like a Western and you're like, oh yeah, I like Western, and then you drop this movie.
Quigley Down Under.
Okay, tell me the movie. Can you name me the movie? Like name me a movie, a Western, like the movie that will get you. It's an art house cult film that will get you in all good graces. Can you tell me this avant-garde weird movie?
But what era?
This movie came out in the 1970s.
Oh, I'm not good with that.
Jesus, don't even bother asking me.
Have Gun Will Travel? I don't know.
The movie is called El Topo. You have to watch the trailer on YouTube, the El Topo trailer, and you'll just go, "What is this movie?" And I need to watch it. It was just Jodorowsky does this movie that is just insane and wonderful, and it is one of the most craziest times you'll ever have watching a movie. El Topo. That is the you drop that and I love Western and I love El Topo. People are like, oh yeah. El Topo.
All right, I looked at the poster. I don't think
you're bringing basically like an Uzi to a gunfight. Like El Topo is the toppest of all like Westerns. You're like, wow, this is like the really weird El Topo official trailer. Like it makes when you watch it, when we log off, we'll watch together, the three of us. And then you're like, what is going on? I don't want to be striked because of the thing, but we'll watch it and it'll be great. Because
okay. Let me ask a couple more questions about this movie, even though you guys weren't super thrilled with it. But I hope some people in the chat will join in the conversation. I do want to ask everyone, drop in the chat who your favorite character was. Rob, did you have at least a favorite character or bad guy or whoever from this movie that you really liked, or performance maybe?
Jonathan Majors was awesome.
As Nat Love, he was really cool, right?
It's what I want from King the Conqueror. He was just cool. Like he was in good shape. He found a way to be shirtless. I'm sure many people appreciated that. He had a reverence and charm, and even at the end when he was talking to Idris Elba, he cared. There's things about it that was good. Delroy Lindo, I'm happy he was there, especially walking to town. Like he wasn't even he's just like hands up to shooting. Like classic Western, no flipping, no John Wick, just an old guy walking through the streets shooting guys down. Like that's kind of the joys of that. But yeah, the performance of the two of them were great. So
I'll go. I mean, I liked Regina King as Trudy. The problem was that there was such a promise of her just letting loose. She was holding back the beast. Do you know what I'm saying? The intensity in her eye and everything else. And she was all ready to just but you never got it. I really wanted to see her let loose and just mow down two guns just blazing glory, killing people left, right, slicing throats. I wanted to see her be unleashed, and we didn't get it.
I think she did a phenomenal job. And when I talk about the scenes, I have one more question about the scenes after that. But so Nat Love, of course, yeah. You see Regina King. Did you guys like Lakeith Stanfield? Is it Steinfeld or Steinfeld? Lakeith Stanfield? Stanfield. Yeah. Like, because when you look at the reviews from other people, they single him out as one of the standouts.
He plays a good bad guy. Like that's what you want. Like he plays
and he was cool though. He was just very chill, right?
Yeah.
Like he was, and his whole thing was like, I abhor violence. And then he slices the guy. It's like Achilles heel in his tendons, right, in his legs. Like that was great.
Yeah.
Even Zazie Beetz. Zazie Beetz did a great job, right? I mean, I thought she was really cool as Stagecoach Mary, right?
Stagecoach Mary, yeah. Sarah shouts out
Again,
Cuffy, who was a breakout performance, I think.
They all did their jobs, but none of it was the dialogue or speech that I'm ever going to remember again. Like that's the thing. It's like I guess I can't blame them for it, but I watched Django and like just all the scenes with Jamie Foxx and just talking with just constantly having with Blofeld from 007. It was just like
Christoph Waltz.
It's just incredible. Like I look back at all the scenes where there's just a two montage of them just doing stuff on it. I'm like, I want to watch more of just these two characters doing stuff. Like I don't even care about the rest of this movie.
I think
Idris Elba was that from any of this movie. Like Idris Elba was fine, but it's Idris Elba just being.
He was barely there though. Really?
What about
Superman again? Like
What about Dion Cole, who's typically a comedic, a comedy guy? He got like a really cool speech. He's eating a steak and pretending he's a badass. And then later on, when he comes,
his Old Spice commercial part. Like I was waiting for product immigration for him to put on Old Spice. It's like it's lavender.
I liked when he was like, "There's a flood coming," and like, "Are you going to be able to hold on to every?" Like, I actually really like the dialogue.
Honestly, I like Damon Wayans Jr. in his like 5 minutes of cameo more than that. Damon Wayans Jr. in the movie, part of the Crimson Hood gang, was much more interesting than that guy was.
Yeah, and then Cuffy.
You don't know whose money you stole. I'm like, oh, we're going there already. It's like not even 3 minutes in the movie.
Whose money did you steal?
That's also like basically the same beats from The Dark Knight. If you want to, like, you don't know who's money. I'm like, wait, is this?
You guys are dead.
Same thing. I was laughing. I'm like, this is the exact same story premise. I'm like, oh, it's The Dark Knight. It's like, you don't know you took the Falcone's money. I was like, oh boy, all right. Later, much as I'm like making fun of this movie, it's not a bad movie. Like, but I'm just laughing because like westerns is such a high bar in my mind, in my heart, in terms of like good westerns. And
maybe it doesn't really fit. Maybe it doesn't truly fit in the western genre, which is why sometimes it gets some flack from.
You know what I will say though is I think what this movie does, and like Gordon asked, does some of the do you think the sum or the whole was greater than each of the parts? So, but I think as a whole, it's probably for the better. What this does, though, is it allows individuals who really don't like westerns or have no real entrance into the western genre. This movie allows them access to it, right? Because I think if you're of a certain age, you would never have really seen any modern westerns. You'd only have heard your dad or your grandparents that were watching. You're like, westerns are crap. You had nothing to really open the door for you as a new viewer. So I think like kudos to this. This does allow new viewers an opportunity to enter into that world and hopefully allow them to explore.
And it lines up for a sequel very easily because at the end it lines up where but King's not dead.
Also the representation is very key to this. That's a component we haven't really spoken about because not really of our culture, but I think the statistic is 1 in every 4 cowboys was actually black, but throughout time they've kind of like gotten rid of this and it looks like all cowboys are white or whatever like that. And then even the strong female roles, I thought that was really good. But I'll quickly just shout out, I don't know if you guys have a favorite scene or the most badass scene. I had a couple of nominations if you guys can think of anything. So when Rufus Buck rolls into town and basically takes over, beats down the Wiley character, was pretty intimidating. Lakeith's speech about violence, I abhor violence or whatever, but you are in the presence of violent individuals. That was a great speech. And then Deloitte, what's it, Sheriff Bass, whatever,
Delroy.
Then Joe, when he's like, oh by the way, I took in Rufus alone was pretty crazy. But I think the most badass moment, and you guys can argue with me or not, was Regina King's speech when she was peeling the apple. And I don't know if you guys noticed, she peeled the entire apple in one go. One go while delivering this speech. So I thought that was intimidating as hell. And she had the wacky New Orleans. No, she did it. She went on the talk show. I think she was on Jimmy Kimmel, and she did it. She practiced.
Nothing is real. It's all CGI.
Yeah, maybe. But do you guys have any favorite scenes, or any of those your favorite scenes?
You know what? I'm actually going to say the opening scene, where Rufus, obviously you don't see him, right? But he enters. The knock at the door. There's the father and the wife and the son. They're sitting down. Yep. They're talking. Wash up. Come to dinner, and we're going to say our prayers. There's a knock on the door, and a lone stranger enters, and the father, that whole scene, him sitting down with those gold pistols, right? And,
do they even show him? They don't even show his face, right?
They don't show his face. They show his body, and from the back, they never show his face. And he, he kills the wife. Like, that I was like, holy shit. Like, if they maintained this tone throughout this movie's gonna rock. Unfortunately, they weren't able to, but that was a well executed scene. It was probably one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
Yeah, that I think that's one of the criticisms of this movie, that it's not consistent in its kind of style and things that it looks like he kind of experimented with a bunch of different things that happen early on don't happen again. Like
and again, stuff like that. This has the bones of a Western. Like, they take the Western tropes, they add all these things in, and then they add their own modern take to it. By all means, this is not a Western. It's just very different than the Westerns of ye old past. And the pacing is different. I think we talked about it before. Movies today are faster, and it has to have more of a Fast 9 component to get people engaged, because we all now apparently have ADHD where we can't sit there and let a scene breathe. So, like, if it does allow people to go back and appreciate, if it's a gateway to allow people to go backwards to maybe discover old hip hop and 90s R&B songs from CeeLo and from Genuine and from other people,
Blackstreet,
Blackstreet.
Man,
Pony?
If they played Pony, Pony during this,
Pony. I'm surprised they didn't play that song. Why not? Why have Pony in this?
Because it was all originally composed by this director who did it all.
We missed an opportunity to play Pony. That's all I'm just saying.
Genuine is notoriously difficult.
Wait a minute, wait.
Differences
to wrangle. A whole group fell apart because of him.
And I think even Tarantino and other ones who love the genre can say that they've taken their own spin, and Tarantino did that too. And he does a really good job of integrating different music. And I think the director did a great job of integrating more modern hip hop and R&B. But there was kind of that missing trope of, like, when you think of a Western, you think of the good, the dead, and the ugly, like the wah wah wah, like that song, like that, like the weird dangling of like song of a Western. And again, great if it gets more people to watch it. Like, John, I'm excited if it gets you to watch like another Western in another movie.
Yeah, I watched this twice, and I started looking up like best Westerns.
Yeah.
And it took you to hotels, and you're like, wait a
minute. in a bunch of local Western unions.
Were you upset that Lil Nas X didn't have Old Town Road in?
No, you can't. Like,
yeah. So, but look, I think
I love that song. By the way,
it is. I'm excited that if they do another movie, they'll do something else, because this is the perfect jump point to the next of this movie trilogy, which would be, Jonathan Majors, Nate Love is out of the game. His wife, who's been shot and killed, Lizzie Bates, is killed in the beginning, and he's dragged back into this. And now he has to go on a vengeance spree and do what he doesn't want to do. He's been out of the game. He doesn't have the aim anymore. He's a little more pudgier, like things like that nature. Like, he's just going back to business. That is the 80s trope. That's basically Rambo. Like, I'm out, and they're pulling back. Like, this is all the same things over and over, and that's what I'm hoping that this.
And his uncle comes to help him, and is Mario Van Peebles.
Wesley Snipes was originally attached to this movie. Do you guys have a guess as to who he would have played?
Probably Delroy.
I have no clue.
Bass Reeves, probably.
Bass Reeves, you think so? Yeah, but he wouldn't need to have that big mustache. That's probably why he didn't do it, because that's Bass Reeves' signature, right? So,
yeah, I'm sure they would have done. Like again, there's the next movie. I'm sure this got hopefully enough views to get it going. But yeah, we'll see. Like again, will I watch it again? Probably not. Will I listen to the soundtrack again? Yes, 100 times yes.
Yeah, Lewis shouts out the COVID delays. I think Idris Elba was one of the first people to catch COVID. Hence, there was a delay in the filming of these.
With Mrs. Trudeau.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, yes. It was a wee event. Yeah,
yeah, in London, England.
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah. Fun times.
Okay, so we'll wrap up The Harder They Fall. I can see where you guys are coming from. But for some reason,
I'm recommending people watch it nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so am I.
But by the way, watch it. Like it's not honestly, I would. Yeah. If I had to watch this or Red Notice again, I will watch this one because the soundtrack is great. There's nothing in Red Notice that I'm like I have to go back to. But
what about this director? Do you not see something in this director? Because I was like, yeah, I did get a Tarantino vibe, but I liked that he did like everything.
Vibe, because Tarantino, the problem with Tarantino is that he also writes the dialogue, and the dialogue was not snappy enough, and that's why everyone's like, "Oh, it's Tarantino." It's like, no, even the dialogue is what makes a Tarantino film, and without the dialogue, it's not Tarantino.
But I don't know if Tarantino could have written dialogue for these types of these characters, maybe necessarily, right?
Have you seen Reservoir Dogs?
Have you The Hateful John? You know what you should watch too? The Hateful Eight. That's okay. You haven't watched Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight is the 8 people in a frozen cabin.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie. It's amazing.
Like you're talking about, like he writes dialogue for Samuel Jackson, who, as you're well aware, is way more, F-bombs than all these guys combined. So anyways, Hateful Eight. It's on Netflix. Get it next.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, I gotta go for the question from Pickett, right? So,
what would you rewatch?
Which one's better? Would you rather watch Red Notice or The Harder They Fall?
Yeah, hands down. You guys probably have already figured out. I've already watched this twice, so it's definitely going to be The Harder They Fall. I watch it a third time.
I was waiting for you to say, but I've watched Red Notice 3 times.
No. No, I don't think I will ever go back to Red Notice. Maybe if a sequel comes out to refresh my memory, but I feel like you wouldn't need to refresh your memory.
I think we could do one of those 2-minute catch-up like videos from Netflix.
Yeah, last time on Red Notice.
Yeah.
Rob,
what do you choose?
I kind of like them equally and dislike them equally. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know which one I would pick. I guess I would probably pick this movie because it's I would just give it because it's a Western, and I obviously am a fan of that genre, so I would give this the nod. But for me, they're on equal footing. I likely won't go back to watch either one of these anytime soon, but that's because I have so much other shit to watch. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I want to go back and watch a bunch of Westerns that I really like. I really like 3:10 to Yuma. I even want to go back and do what they call modern Westerns, like No Country for Old Men, Hell or High.
Yeah, I heard that's good.
It's amazing. Hell or High Water. And I'm a big fan of There Will Be Blood,
True
even
Grit?
though it's not a proper Western. Yeah, True Grit. Yeah, and Bone Tomahawk.
The new True Grit is incredible because Haley Steinfeld, who was nominated for an Academy Award in it, she's incredible in this movie. Yeah. And watching Jeff Bridges be classic Jeff Bridges is the try this movie. It's really good. And the bad guy's Josh Brolin. So that's not a Western, Sarah.
Thanos himself.
Thanos, and also a nice little cameo by Matt Damon. So
a very pudgy Matt Damon.
Matt Damon is in it. So it's a good one. Yeah. John, if you want to watch it on Netflix, Hateful Eight, it's split. It was the OG Snyder cut. It's got split into 4 episodes because Tarantino had so much more, so it made it into a 4-episode miniseries on Netflix. So if you want to watch The Hateful Eight instead of a movie, it made it into 4 episodes. So it's easier to digest, but incredible because in that movie, John, can I tell you who's in this cast that everyone you know and love is in this movie? Samuel Jackson.
Go ahead, shoot.
Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Walter Goggins, Tim.
Oh,
Roth,
Shane Vandrell,
Michael Madsen, Bruce Dern, and then there's some secret cameos and stuff along. But Walter Goggins is incredible in this movie. It's one of his best movies, and Jennifer Jason Leigh is great. And yeah, Kurt Russell's just bang on. So yeah, Samuel Jackson, Kurt Russell. It is a great ride. So it's one of those things where if you watch the trailer, it won't ruin it because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I felt like when we all saw this trailer for the Harder They Fall, we were all super hyped.
Yeah.
And then I watched the movie. I'm like, okay, it was fine. Like I think the trailer was the first scene on the train track was better than the actual movie. Yeah. Just like Red Notice watching the trailer, it was better in the trailer than it was actually watching the movie. But Hateful Eight, even if you watch the trailer, is way better in the movie. So
yeah,
next time. And Gordon is also follows my opinion, the Hateful Eight. So
yeah.
And Sarah too. So look at me. They're back on track after Sarah said I was wrong. So,
well, I think this particular movie, Harder They Fall, it is a combined element of the sound that kind of almost propels it. Yeah, it's almost like a music video. So I totally hear where you guys are coming from, but for some reason it just worked really well for me. And I think it's.
I love Seal. Yeah. Like I anytime Seal's in a song, I'm gonna jam to it. How many times have I listened to "Kissed by a Rose" today? Once. That's more than you ever thought you'd hear "Kiss from a Rose." So yeah, the moment you were playing, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard "Kiss from a Rose" for a while. It's time that I block that jam.
Fly like an eagle. Fly like a rose, fly like an eagle. There's a hell of a playlist.
There's some bangers from Seal, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think the soundtrack will live longer for me. Just like I listen to old Kanye albums, like High School Graduation and College Dropout, because the skits are also the best part. Because these skits are great too. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up our review of The Harder They Fall. Thanks to everybody.
Wait, number. What are you rating it at 10?
I'm going to give it a 7.
John?
I give it a 10 out of 10. I love
it. You give out 10s.
Wow.
Like crazy.
I like all
give it a 10 out of 10 of any movie we did.
I like all these performers getting to do something cool, and then you combine the music and even the fashion. We didn't even talk about the fashion in this movie.
Reviewed in 2021. I don't think you give a 10 to anything but this movie.
Yeah.
But it's combined things that I liked. The movie and the music.
Lot.
Yeah. I probably
gave Fast 9 a 10.
I think I gave Fast 9 probably
a
10, yeah.
Venom 2 a 10. Like all right, whatever.
Wow.
Stu?
Wow.
Where are you at, Stu?
Throwing out like it ain't no thing. I give it.
I've watched it twice already, and it only came I don't know when it came out. I watched it twice in the span of 2 days. So
October 22nd. Were you paying attention?
Yeah. So I gotta give it up.
Just dropping gasoline all over you. John sends me nothing.
It's a fire playlist that has a visual element.
My God. No, upon further reflection, I will give it
I'm close to Sarah at least.
7.
7?
7. Like, man, Sarah, like, I gotta get your checks here, because if you give it a 9, I need to know other things, because it's wow. Okay. Yeah, like, it's fine. Like, the soundtrack is like a 10. Like, I'll listen to the soundtrack anytime, but that's it. It's not about good place. It's just he's giving 10s out like it's like a free sample. Like, everyone just gets them. Yeah.
I didn't give Dune a 10. Did I give Dune a 10? I don't think.
That should get a 10 if you're gonna give it 10.
I don't think you did. I think you gave like an 8.5 or a 9, John.
Yeah, like that. Like, I don't know. God.
But I definitely could not have watched Dune twice in the span of 2 days.
I've watched it 4 times already. I've watched it 4 times. 4 times. I've watched Dune 4 times.
Well, that's almost as many times as Rob has watched the Batman trailers, dude. That's crazy.
You know what else John has given a 10? That was the Tobey Maguire movie, Spider-Man 3. And next week on the Heroes World Sidekick Show, what we are doing is doing a revisit of the Sam Raimi, the original Spider-Man trilogy. You don't need to rewatch it if you don't. I mean, maybe you already own it. The likelihood is if you're watching this, you have it whether it's on your DVD, Blu-ray, or a digital copy. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. But the original Sam Raimi trilogy, we're going to talk about all three movies. We're going to revisit them. We're going to talk about them. Do they hold up? Do you remember?
Aim at the second one. If you're going to choose one, take aim at.
I feel like you're shortchanging these movies. Just throwing them all together. Like,
well, the problem
get two free. Like,
I'm not rewatching all three of them. Get out of town.
Please.
Well, the problem is that we only have a certain amount of time left.
We could each get one. So Rob can do Spider-Man 1. I'll do 2. Stu, you get 3, because you're that thorough.
Wow. Sarah, I finally agree with you. Shawshank deserves a 10. Titanic, not so much, but fine. I'm on that calibration. Shawshank deserves a 10. Okay, cool. 3 and 1. All right, cool. All right. I'm excited to find out what you guys say.
Well, we're just doing a revisit to, do they hold up?
I think you just do like those movies. You could just talk amongst like yourselves on all the wackiness that is just one movie, not alone 3. But I want to see how you
only have we have so many weeks.
This is your Dune, where you're trying to put a whole book into one podcast. I'm super excited to see how you shove all these things together. I'm super excited.
Rob's going to talk like the Micro Machines guy. You thought he only had 2 impersonations, which was a Stallone Vin Diesel hybrid and a Kermit the Frog that runs out of steam after 2 sentences.
Not a real thing.
All right. Well, that's it. Hey, so thanks everybody for tuning in and watching. Well, I hope you enjoyed the movie. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you enjoyed our thoughts. Whether you agree or disagree, we really appreciate you showing up. The Heroes World podcast dropped yesterday. We talk about the Disney Day as well as Red Notice, which was probably given a 10 by John up until right before we recorded.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't given a 10 by me.
It was very close. You were 9.8. You were CGC grading it.
Get out of town.
As well, you can join us on Thursday for Hey, What I Miss? And please, if you have...
Except I think we're on hiatus for the next 2 weeks.
So... Wait,
you don't read the messages, Rob.
Right. Well, I guess, Hey, What I Miss would be the show and the messages. So we may or may not be on Thursday. However,
Rob might one-man show it. So
fair enough.
Or we'll take Stu in.
I would ask you to keep your notifications on our YouTube channel, because in the next 24 hours or so, we may be doing a live react or a recorded reaction to the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. So we shall see how that drops and plays out tomorrow. Anything else, John? TGIF with Andre and our good friend Jesse. They've been dropping some wicked content, so definitely check that out. John,
exclusively on Twitch Friday night. You can catch that, and then it gets uploaded to the YouTube and the audio feeds on the Saturday. I don't know what Stu's got on deck for Sunday.
I think
we're probably Ghostbusters.
I think we're gonna. I don't know how many of you guys are gonna be able to see Ghostbusters up. I think it's gonna be. I know Rob is for sure, but I don't know about.
I'm going.
Are you going? We might talk
about
Ghostbusters. We might talk about Cowboy. We might talk about my all-time favorite TV show of all time, Cowboy Bebop. My favorite anime. We'll do one episode of that, because I don't know. Just listen to me as my heart breaks as we talk about this anime show, because I feel like it's gonna happen no matter what they do. I'm just gonna be just a curmudgeon the entire time. So if you want me cheese and wine, let's listen to me talk about Cowboy Bebop, the live action TV show.
So next week, Stu will be cosplaying as Andre during the Heroes World podcast.
Maybe. Yeah, so we might do a 2-fer, we might do a 1-fer. We'll find out. But
right.
We're gonna once we log off, watch El Topo. I can't wait to see the trailer with these guys, because the words will not be spoken. They just don't know what to do. So get some good times. If you have a chance to watch the trailer on YouTube for El Topo, do yourself a favor, watch it.
I can fire it up now if everyone wants to watch it, but
oh my god,
I'm gonna bounce. I gotta go walk a dog.
Oh god. Is it your dog or someone else's dog?
I can't believe you want to watch El Topo with us. This is just ridiculous. It's the worst.
El Topo sounds like a whole different set of movies. All right. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. We appreciate the follows, the comments, the shares, the likes, the subscriptions, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. Stu, thanks for showing up.
Thanks,
and doing what you do best. John, it was good seeing you. Maybe we'll see you Thursday. Maybe we'll see you shave off that mustache. I don't know. We'll see.
well, maybe
it's gonna go. Yeah, my wife didn't give me the okay.
We're gonna watch it all together. So next time we do this, we're gonna watch El Topo because there's no. I need both of you to give me your thoughts about El Topo. The trailer is so wacky and crazy that I just need to see your faces while we watch it together. So maybe we'll do a separate reaction to El Topo, the trailer. It's incredible.
Followed by Sarah's special about Top Gun, Baywatch, Magic Mike. I guess that would be
Neighbors. And Neighbors.
No, is that Zac Efron again?
Yeah.
You've already got Zac Efron.
Yeah, but then you also have Seth Rogen. I think he takes the shirt off as well.
Where is Sarah's thoughts on Zac Efron's face now? Like, it's very weird what's going on with Zac Efron as we talked before. We're like, who is this person? What happened to him? So,
yeah. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you later.